Hello everyone, this is Sean, and this is a very special day for Sean's model builds and my time in the scale model hobby. It is the 5th anniversary of my time in the hobby. It's when I first applied paint to this particular model to make it more realistic and accurate to the ship that was on display at that time in the Smithsonian. So I'll just get here in 1 minute here. So you can see all my, here we go. This is the shelf, the first shelf really of the Star Trek models. Different scales, and Star Wars as well. And then on the other side, you can see a couple of the older ones. That was the second one. And then my shelf of mostly 1000 scale with one 1400 scale. And of course, if you look down, you'll see the model that I'm currently working on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the models out to the dining room one by one, since I cleared off the table. And I'm going to put them in place in chronological order by which I built or restored them. And we'll pick this up out there. All right, so here we are out in the dining room, where you can get a better look at the model. There we go. Don't mind the stand. Sometimes it likes to go up the neck. There you go, see? There's a good side profile. Now, I wasn't kidding, as you can see from the computer here. Zoom in a bit. As you can see, I first worked on the model October 16th, 2017. So it looked like this when I first got it. You see, yellow everywhere, faded registry number and everything. But on October 16th, I first changed it to red and white. And I did more work over the course of the time. And I eventually made it silver. But then I realized, someone told me, get new decals for it and everything. So by the time I was done, so you see what it looked like beforehand, and you see what it looked like by the time I was done. That's how I restored it. Now, of course, I did it all by hand, but that's okay, because in 2019, July, and I should have that picture, 2019 July. Just a minute here. Here we go. Oh, no, that. There we go. 2019 July. William Shatner signed it for me at Montreal Comic-Con. And you can see the magazine here. That was 2019 Comic-Con. William Shatner signed the base and said I did a good job. So that's high praise from the captain of the Enterprise. I didn't tell him it was my first model work and that it was all hand-painted. And if he noticed, he was kind enough not to say so. So anyway, that's the first model I restored. Model number 1 on YouTube, and I'll go to the second model. And I'll try to go a little quicker, otherwise this thing will be an hour long. We're already almost at 5 minutes. This is the second model I restored. It was the 650 Enterprise E. You can see I bought a sticker at the dollar store and labeled it as such from First Contact. So I'll show you what it looked like when I first got it and why it needed restoration. So it looked like that when I first got it, all dark gray and dark blue. It was even missing the name of the ship right here. So what I did is I restored it and gave it new decals and everything, and it looked like it does now by the time I was done. And that's all folk art silver anniversary paint. And the reason it looks a lot smoother than the Enterprise is because I had to paint around the existing escape pods. Now this model came from a friend of mine who saw my Star Trek Micro Machines on my desk at work and traded me these two Star Trek models for some DVDs, namely Degrassi High and Jaws. So now I'll show you the only surviving model from my teenage years that my stepdad and I worked on and that were never painted. All right, so the third model is the Enterprise D from the old 2500 scale kit in 1988. That's what it looked like before restoration. 25 years of dust and it had never been painted and only minimal decals. But after I was done, it looked like that. And I was even able to, now its nacelle has fallen off again, but I was able to adapt the old Polar Lights base from the 1000 scale TOS Space Seed Enterprise and actually give the ship a proper base. I'm going to have to use glue and clamps to restore the final nacelle, the starboard nacelle on the ship. But at least it's there. It's mostly intact. And that's the model number 3 restoration. Now I'll show you the first new model I ever got. And I'm going to put the laptop off the table because I'll run out of room. At least until I get to the models I no longer have because they were gifts. All right. So this is model number 4. The first model I built with the help of a friend of mine, although actually I did most of the building. Got it for my 40th birthday from Mom and Dad. It's the 1000 scale Botany Bay Enterprise, but mine as a second pilot edition with a few adjustments. Now remember, the Discovery Enterprise had not come out yet, so putting that blue in there, that was my idea, as was the gold for Star Trek 50 Years. And you can see the gold label under here. And it has the Botany Bay as well. So that's model number 4. Model number 5 was always my favorite ship, the Enterprise Refit. Now this is the first one that my friend Zach helped me spray paint. In fact, he taught me how to spray paint on this model. And I thought it would be fun to make it look like the 24th century edition. You know, the old Wyvern class on the fan and sight, so red and blue. And because I gave it a chrome hull, I couldn't see the Aztec decal, so I actually had to paint them soft metallics by hand. And that's why you can see them on here. This is one of the models I'm going to bring to the hobby contest on November 5th. All right, and model number 6 is the Enterprise C. Very first one I built all by myself, decaled, painted all by myself, thanks to Zach's teachings. Gave it decals, even a pearlescent paint coat. And it seemed to turn out quite well. Couldn't use this, of course, so I had to adapt a new Polar Lights 1000 scale stand for it. But I'm going to just bring out the rest of the Star Trek ships, and I think that'll be enough for a group picture on the table. I'll try to bring them out in chronological order and then just describe them one by one while they're all on the table, so I'll be back. Okay, and the next ship Zach helped me assemble was the Enterprise D, the 1400 scale Enterprise D, and I found at the Kingston Hobby Shop the Aztec decals for it. So that was model 7. And I painted Inca Gold under the escape pods so they showed up better. Model 8, USS Voyager from Monogram, 677 scale, 1995 edition. But because it was 25 years since I'd first built a model, I of course gave it the Krylon Chrome, just like the D and these ships. And I only got it finished in the summer of 21. I was picking away at it, but I made it. USS Voyager, well, it's hard to see from here. Let me take this. Let me take it off the front for a while. USS Voyager 25th Anniversary Edition. Alright, so we'll get the next Star Trek ships. Alright, here's the 1000 scale Excelsior from AMT, the Star Trek 50 Years Edition. And this one I gave light, like a Whitehall, pearl white on top of the light gray primer, just to bring the Aztec decals down a bit. But this one I'm particularly proud of because I took it to Fan Expo last October, and I got, careful here, I got it autographed. I got it autographed by George Takei as Captain Sulu. He took 30 seconds to sign it so you could read every letter in his name. All right. And that is the big Star Trek ships all laid out. Here's a couple more thousand scale ships. There's the NX-01 Refit Enterprise, Tamiya Royal Light Gray, G-Cals, Aztec decals, which worked really well. I even managed to paint in the windows. And I just finished this a couple weeks ago. The 1000 scale Defiant. Now, the gray decals were depressing, so I used the aqua ones from G-Cals. But I also painted the blue triangles because they still came with gray triangles. So there is the Defiant itself. There you go. And that's the last of the 1000 scale ships. So I'll go get the rest of my 2500 scale ships. Alright, this is part 2. The video unexpectedly ceased, but here's the 2500 scale Enterprise TOS Tamiya Royal Light Gray hull. There's the 2500 scale Enterprise A, thanks to Federation Models decals with the light blue trim, as you can see there, and a pearl white hull. And here is my 24th century version, so you can see from the stand, of the Enterprise B, thanks to the blue decals I got from another site. So I have 5 2500 scale ships. So I'll go get the Discovery line, and then I'll take a group photo from behind with the tripod set up, showing all my Star Trek ships. That'll probably be one of the thumbnails. And here are the 3 2500 scale Discovery ships, the Shenzhou, the Discovery itself, which I built as the ISS Mirror Universe Discovery, hence those lights are red, not blue, and the 2500 scale Discovery Enterprise, captained by Anson Mount as Captain Christopher Pike. So I'll go set up the tripod and I'll get a group photo. All right, so you can see me here with all my Star Trek ships, Star Trek models. That's how my journey began all those 5 years ago. All right, so I'm going to put the ships back, the Star Trek ships, and I'm going to get the table set for the other franchises like the model cars. So I'll be back. It'll be a few minutes, but that's why I'm pausing the video. I forgot about the 1400 scale Starcraft Enterprise B, so now that's all the ships. All the Star Trek ships. So now I will take them off their shelves and replace them with the other space models, aka a space shuttle and a couple Star Wars things. So I'll be back. I'm almost done moving the ships back into the room, but it's highly appropriate that the only one left is the very first one, the one that was autographed. So I'll be right back once the model cars are on the shelf. All right, and this is the sum total of the model cars I've done. Get far enough back, you can get the photo. So I'll take you through them. Let's see. 74 Herbie from the Airfix model kit. Used to be the 68 Herbie, the most popular model video on my channel. 82 Herbie from the 32 scale Revel kit. Very first model car I ever built. Miami Vice Testarossa, actually. switch the positions because the 82 kit, but it's not actually kit. If you look closely, it's K.A.R.R. That's why it has gray paint on the lower half. See? And any paint mistakes I passed off as, ooh, saltwater damage. He was buried in the sand for 2 years. Miami Vice Daytona Spider. Paul's Eclipse from the first Fast and Furious movie. The 1997 Herbie, as you can see from the Bruce Campbell movie. And then you have the 4 DeLorean time machines that I'm taking to the model contest on November 5th. So there is the Mark I DeLorean, 1985 version. Of course, it has the lightning rod 55 dock added. Mark II DeLorean, 2015 edition with Mr. Fusion flying circuits and thrusters on the bottom and the white wheels in flying configuration. Mark III DeLorean time machine from 1955 with the white wall tires at dock added and the time circuitry tray on the front. And of course, you have the Mark IV time machine, 1885 version, the one that goes on the train tracks, again with time circuitry tray and everything. Yeah, given those ugly glue spots on the Mark III, I'm gonna have to think twice about bringing the DeLoreans after all. Yeah, I just noticed that, and there's no real way to fix that, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that's all the model cars. I'm gonna get behind them here. All right. So here I am in a picture with the model cars that I've done so far. So I'll take the model cars off there now, and we'll go from there. Yeah, I just noticed that, so maybe 3 of the 4. All right, and to round out the 5-year anniversary video are my 3 Star Wars models. So there's the Revel Star Destroyer Lights and Sound, though the sound and lights don't work anymore. And what I did is I made it the very light gray, but I gave it a pearlescent coat throughout the entire ship, both top and bottom, but only on one side on the bottom. On the other, I did different grays. And then, of course, there's the million-scale Bandai Super Star Destroyer, which actually has a much lower bridge dome, as you can see. Barely noticeable. And I started with little blue lights. And you can see all the weapons blisters and everything. And then, of course, there's the old Revel 3-legged Millennium Falcon. See? 3 legs. Only 3 legs. And, of course, the ramp lowers. So, here I am behind the Star Wars kits. And that's going to do it for the 5 years of me being in the scale modeling hobby. By the time you see this video, we'll know if it is a replacement or a supplement for the live stream I did at 10 o'clock this morning. So, I'll see you all later, and keep building models. Bye-bye.